yes man to me. They give me a lot of respect. They're starving for love. And I personally have rode around the community and watched the police, and I have watched officers go to an area where no one's there, jump out, grab a young man, throw him up against the wall, and ride past where the group of people are that are involved in things. I have seen this over and over and over. And then you have the jury mouth. So in order for dialogue to take place, I think that the officers would have to come in saying that it's not all of us, but there are some officers that we need to whatever, and then go forward.
And I think so that's kind of a good segue into the process that I worked on in New York. Because the officers that showed up were the officers who wanted to really do good things in the community.
There you go.
And from the dialogue and from the building of relationships with residents, they started to hold their peers accountable for their actions. Right? So it's no longer just a community saying, hey, this guy jumped out. You have police officers holding their peers accountable. Now, on the other hand, residents started to hold their other community members accountable for their actions as well.
Yes.
So you couldn't, we always have people who come to our community meetings, and this is in any community. They come, they're part of the conversation about crime, but they have family members who are part of that problem.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so they want to resolve the issues and they want to resolve the crime, but they don't want to point out their family members as being part of the problem. And so in this process, what it did was it really allowed residents to say, I want a better neighborhood. And if my son or my nephew or my cousin or whomever is dealing with drugs, then they got to stop. And I'll be the first one to say, hey, listen, this person is doing something wrong, and give you information. So there has to be this sharing of information that goes back and forth. I don't know the number of unsolved crimes in Homewood, but I would imagine that there are a lot of unsolved crimes and homicides in Homewood simply because people are not having a conversation or feeling safe enough in some instances to have a conversation with the police to tell what they know. Because there's no reason why someone can get shot with 20 people in the area and nobody knows nothing. So the process that I consulted on in New York, it was not a process that I created. I came in as a facilitator and a mediator to mediate the differences and issues between the community and police so that they could create a commitment. So this was in so I'm not from New York, but I have to go back. The gentleman was Chris Cooper, is a police officer, mediator. He brought me in to mediate.
It was in one of the 5 boroughs of the city.
Yes, it was inside the city. It wasn't actually in Harlem, but it was in Brooklyn. That's a borough. That's where you're from, huh? But Brooklyn is kind of big, so it has all these different communities. So I don't know. I can get you that information exactly where. But it was a conversation. It was about how the police and the residents in that area. And there was an area where they had some public housing going on, and they have a lot of corner stores. And so the instance that always comes to mind to me is that once these officers had this conversation with the community, there were these 2 little kids who were stealing from the store, right? And so normally how the police would handle that was that they would chase the kids or catch them, take them to juvie, whatever, not think about the items that they stole or what was going on. But after they had this conversation with the community and they built this relationship, they had two young boys who were stealing from the corner store. And they were stealing items like bread, milk, butter, not candy, right, because they were hungry. And so the police, officer noticed that. And so when they got caught, the police came and the guy told them what they were stealing. They were like, well, what's the problem? So what happened was the police were no longer just coming in and saying, okay, you stole something, you got caught, we're arresting you, we're taking you away. Now that they're part of this process, they're saying, what's the issue? So why are you stealing this stuff, right? And the kids then are saying, well, we hungry. Mom gets her food stamps, and she doesn't put the food in the house. She does whatever she does with them, and so we got to eat. So the police said, well, instead of doing that, why don't you, whenever Mom doesn't put food in the house, you just come see us. We'll take you shopping. So they took the kids shopping. They kept food in their house. A crime happened in the neighborhood, right? A drug dealer was shot by someone. And these little guys, because they had this relationship with these police officers, started to tell them what they were hearing on the street, and the police officers were able to solve the crime. And then you had a number of incidents happening after that of residents who were no longer afraid to say, hey, I know Derek as the law enforcement officer, we have a good relationship. This is what I'm hearing on the street, right? Or Derek saying, hey, I heard your nephew was in this stuff that's going on, and you need to try to talk to him to get him out, right? Or else, and so it really became this tremendous relationship that they had where, they were starting to have these conversations. Now, the other side of that was that was not all of the police officers in that area. That was a few of them, right? And it wasn't all of the residents in that area. It was just a few of them, and then they started with those few, and they were able to solve a lot of crime. So I can't say that every officer within that precinct changed their views about the community, and I'm not going to say every community member changed their views about the police officer, but what they were able to do was solve more crime and have a better relationship with residents. And then those officers were able to train the younger, newer officers sort of coming in to use those